Check, check. Turn the mic up a little bit today. A little bit of a different setup. Checking it all. Be a little bit further away from my mouth. Gonna make it work. Look at this timing on the music. Give me goosebumps. Good stuff. Good stuff. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Tuesday, the last day of March, here on the Mothership stream. As you can tell, today is a little bit of a wearing a backwards hat kind of day. Not sleep super well last night. Woke up and had to do some work as soon as I rolled out of bed this morning, and have not had time to bathe myself yet. So here we are. But I promised you that we would do this every day, and here we are. And you know, I'm taking the time right now to today do something that I try to do every month, or I have been doing every month. For like the last 6 or 8 months. I'm gonna move this a little bit closer for now while I'm just kind of getting warmed up here. I'm just getting warmed up. We're trying something new today, in the spirit of trying new things. one of the things that I was doing in my off time from streaming was coming up with different kinds of things that I could do on stream, and mostly that kind of related to things that I am interested in, or things that I am good at, things that I do that might be different than other people, and maybe try to share some of that with the world. And one of those things that I started doing recently, as of last, let's see when the first entry is in my first journal here, September, is bullet journaling. And one of the things that is, this is probably the wrong way to do it, first of all, as a little caveat, because you're supposed to like find a quiet place, put all your electronics away, spend some time to reflect on the previous month, and then move forward and build out your next month. But at least for this month, I wanted to kind of go through that process on stream together, perhaps, or at least kind of like let you kind of peek into my process and how I do it. I know that since I got into doing this journaling thing, I've been kind of looking for good places online to find inspiration on how to improve my journaling style. It's a little bit of a niche community, and most of the stuff I've been able to find, I haven't been able to weed through kind of like the Pinteresty type stuff of like, here's five cute flowers you could draw in your bullet journal, and I'm just like, okay, that's not really what I'm looking for. I'm looking for how other people organize their thoughts, how they prioritize things, maybe how they build collections, this is all kind of like bullet journaling terminology, but that's the way that I kind of get ideas, and the way that I've come up with my system has kind of evolved over time and become what it is now, which is more like I know what I need to do. I know what I do every week. I have like kind of the same setup. I don't have to like flip back and forth between pages too much to figure out like my how I'm labeling things and all of that. So yeah, so that's what I'm gonna do today. I don't know how long it's gonna take, but we're gonna do it until it's done, and then that'll be that. As we talked about yesterday during our book talk, this was not a book that we used for book club, but it's a book that I recommend anyway. It's called The Bullet Journal Method, and it's by Ryder Carroll. And this is the book that I read to kind of learn the methodologies behind doing some of this stuff. And he's the guy who kind of like, I guess, pioneered this method of journaling. Also, if you guys are into it, I would like to shout out, I hope this is the right link. Let me just make sure. The Hunter Wild. Yes, that's him. So he's a streamer that I found out about via Streamer Square, which is a kind of a group. He's one of the organizers of the group that helps kind of like help streamers network and improve and that sort of thing, who I found out through Loco, who's like one of my favorite streamers. They're very good friends, and they kind of run Streamer Square together. But Hunter Wild, he's a good follow on Twitter. He's chill dude, and just very good energy. And I kind of stumbled upon bullet journaling through him, and I had known about it from other ways, but he was the first person that I really followed that kind of shared their process a little bit. And I was inspired by him to kind of research the process for myself, and so that's what I did. And so I started off by buying this book and a whole bunch of supplies, and we'll get into all that stuff. So basically, what is bullet journaling? I'm gonna showcase a new scene today, guys. So the new scene, I set up my old webcam. You guys will be able to see my coffee, and hopefully this works. You'll be able to see my journal, and hopefully, if I do this correctly, I will not bump the microphone too often during this, because it's kind of in my line of sight. So I might try to move the microphone out when I start doing a little bit more writing in this thing. But for now, this will work. I can kind of show you guys what my journal looks like. Oh, you just got a little peek at my full name. Little peek. Be careful. Be careful online, guys. This one just says John B. Looks like my phone number in it, so that's bad. So let me start off by kind of just showcasing the book. This is the book that we started with, called The Bullet Journal Method. Again, it is about 300 pages, and it is kind of just like a whole. I read the whole thing. It talks about the whole process of like what supplies you need, the methodology behind it, some of the best practices behind some of the exercises, and then really most importantly, it's like how to organize your thoughts onto paper, and then how to organize those thoughts on paper into a more legible format. It's very type A, which is why it speaks to me, and it spoke to me like immediately and very deeply. If that makes sense to you guys. Let me put on some music real quick. Chill beats. Chili McChill beats. Playing. There we go. And as always, guys, let me know if the music's too loud. I need to make a command for music too loud, music too soft. I'm gonna record that tonight. I'll record my kids. I'll record my kids making some audio too loud or too quiet commands. But anyway, until the time presents itself, that's where I'll leave the volume at. So here it is, the bullet journal method. This is the source, the Bible, if you will, of what I'm doing. Basically, what this does is gives you the toolbox to build your own journal. So it gives you kind of like the basics of like what you should have, and then it gives you like a little more in-depth instructions on like how to actually do like your day-to-day, your week-to-week, your goals, setting up those things, and then from there you kind of like pull all that together and formulate your own plan, which is another thing that I liked about it. It allows you to kind of gives you the tools to create your own methodology, basically, and tailor it and tinker with it. And as you'll see, I've got plenty of errors and mistakes in mine that are kind of fun. So the supplies I use. All right, so this is the book. This is what I start with. This is my bedrock, my foundation. I use these journals. Again, let me just check. We just cover with my thumb here my phone number. What that says is, as a reward, hug money if found. Any level of organization has to be better than what I do now. Yeah, and see, I was kind of on the other end of that. I was like over organizing, and it became it got to the point where I was I just had like notes and things all over the place, and I just couldn't keep anything organized because I was like, I gotta keep all this stuff together. And this, at least for me, again, this is kind of like deeper into the book, I would say, but it's really helped me kind of weed through what actually is important to keep track of, and what I can just be like, you know what, if I keep writing the same thing down over and over again and I'm not getting to it, then either I'm not prioritizing things correctly, or this isn't really that important. The journals I buy are from a website called Minimalism Art. I guess you won't be able to see it because this camera is trash. Sorry, I'm trying to go like backwards and upside down here. Where is it? There it is. Minimalism Art is the name of the company. That's the logo. And these are the bullet journals I buy from them. I get them off Amazon. And the reason I got these ones is because they are fairly cheap. I think they're like under $10. And whereas if you get like a Moleskine, you're gonna be paying like 15 or 20 bucks probably per. These ones were like under $10 each, and they're totally fine. Like the paper is nice and thick, as you can see, possibly. There's the bullets on there. They're about 100 or so pages each. They've got little pockets in the back, just like any other journal, where you can put all your little goodies, your stickers or your little rulers or your whatever, what have yous. It's got a nice little band here, and it's got a page marker. So anything that you would really want out of a journal, this has. I bought this one again, like having not had my hands on it. I'm a very tactile person when it comes to this stuff. So I kind of just was like, oh, I'll get this one. This is my first one. We'll see how it goes. And I've stuck with it. The other reason I like it is because it comes in a bunch of different colors. So I like to have each month be a different color, or each journal be a different color. So like this was my first one, this yellow one, and then the next one is green. And then as you can see, like I add labels to the spines so that like this is volume 1. And I'll kind of talk about that in a minute too, about how you can index your journals and within themselves and within like your library of journals. Here's my Oogs mug. Upside down. There we go. I'm gonna dump this all over the desk, aren't I? My Oogler mug. So first thing, and so those are my journals. Again, Minimalism Art is the name of the company. You can get them on Amazon. They have all different colors. I haven't used any other ones, but I can't not recommend these just because it's been perfect. Like the ink doesn't go through the pages. They're pretty good. It's good quality. Markers that I use, I know this is like a big thing for people who bullet journal. I use these guys, and any artist probably knows these are this thing on autofocus. This is my first time using a 2-camera setup, guys, so bear with me here for just a second. I'll see if I can, using the old off, follow my face, off, advanced settings, bright light, exposure. This is the focus. Does this thing not even have an autofocus? I don't think it has an autofocus. Anyway, I haven't used this camera in so long. Yeah, all right. Anyway, it's a Pigma Micron, and these come. What I did was I bought a whole package of different sized ones. I don't think I have the package here anymore. But I bought a whole package of different size ones, different size tips to see which one works best. And you can't really see that one again because it's not, okay, it's backwards. This is a 05. And so I basically, like when I started using pens, as you can see in the first journal, most of it starts off all in pencil. These are my daily logs. And because I was like worried about making mistakes, and then after a while I flipped over to using pen, like regular like pen, like around here, and then this would have been in, I don't know what month this was. This was probably like October. This was November. I started using regular pen, and then somewhere in here is a page where I was just testing the pens that I bought when they came in. But anyways, like some of them were too thick, some of them were too thin, and then the 05 was like just right for me. So, oh, here it is. At the bottom of the page there. You guys can see that. But down here was I got it's 0.005, 01, 02, 03, 05, and 08 was the pack that I got. And then I went ahead and just bought a whole pack of 5s. So I use 2 of these basically for when I'm doing my setup. I use the 5s for my regular writing, and then I use the 8s for doing like lines and borders and things like that. And then I got some. I didn't have color for a long time, and there's really no need for me to use color. But it's fun to just kind of like add a little bit of flair to your pages. So I got these SEPA 0.38 millimeter pens for color. So I got a whole pack of them. I guess I buy them. I don't know. They're on Amazon as well. These guys, and they come in 18 colors. They are, as a word of warning, I am colorblind, and they are not labeled. So it tells you here what all the colors are, but on the markers themselves they're not labeled, or maybe they are, but they're in like a different language that I don't speak. It looks to be, I don't know, maybe Chinese or Mandarin, maybe Japanese. I don't know. I can't tell. Anyway, I couldn't tell what color a lot of this stuff were. These colors were. So thankfully, my lovely wife was nice enough to take some time out of her day and label them all for me. So that's what these little white labels are are little labels that she made for me so that I can tell what color I'm using. This is the life of a colorblind person. And then I also use, these are totally fine too, just a Sharpie highlighter. And I use that for a special Twitch entries that I have in my Twitch calendar. And then finally, I like to make like straight lines in the journals and things like that. So actually, there's a couple other things here. Where is this thing, which is like a little stencil. So this is another pack that my wife got me for Christmas about a little journaling care package. So there's a whole bunch of these things, little stencils that they come in all different shapes. I don't really use the shapes too much. I use this mostly for a straight edge. And this one has a bunch of stars on it. So if I want to like rate things, I can give them like stars and it looks good. So there's that. And then this is the original straight edge that I was using. This one's nice and heavy. It's like aluminum. And it's got a bunch of different shapes on it. The problem with this one is that two things. It's got a nice ruler on both sides. So it's got a ruler on this side in metric, and then another one that in whatever non-metric, stupid scale. But it's like indented on the ruler, so like when you run your marker along it, it gets like bumps. You don't get straight lines. And also this one was so hard that it was like cutting into my markers. So I was drawing lines with the markers, and the edge of the ruler was cutting because they're kind of like softer tips. So this one worked when I was using just a regular pen, but when I started using like the softer tip pens, this was no good. It was ruining my markers. So this one's been retired. And the final thing I use sometimes, and I use these for everything, these little tabby things, the post-it notes that you can stick on pages. So you see these a lot of times in textbooks and things like that, but oftentimes when I want to go back and quick reference something in my journal, I use these tabs for things like that, like my index and things that bother me, things like that, because that was a long list when I was making this journal. So those are the tools that I use for doing all of my journaling. I don't use all of this stuff every day, but those are the brands and the types of things that I do use. So when it comes to the monthly kind of entry, and I might take a break here in a second just to get myself some more coffee, because this coffee is tasting real good this afternoon after a rough night's sleep. So we'll take a look at, again, you'll be able to see how ugly my first journal was. So this is the index, and basically like every journal starts with like your index. And so this is basically like as you add things to the journal, you number every page. You can see kind of like down here, every page is numbered, and you can then quickly access those things. So if you want to say jump to November, I can see like, okay, I kind of scroll through it and I'm like, okay, November's page 86 to 106. So I know if I go to page 86 in my journal, that's going to be like my monthly layout for November. Wrong. Well, this was my first month, so 81. Did I say? It's 81 to 106. That's what it was. So 81. So this is kind of my monthly layout for November and so forth. And then you add other things like this one. I was keeping my notes when I was reading the book. I was kind of building this journal out as I was following along in the book. So this one has a lot of just kind of like school type notes in it. TwitchCon prep, my stream calendars, my fall wardrobe, like all these things kind of that I wanted to keep track of and kind of log, all go in here. And then when you kind of complete those sets of pages, you add them to the index for quick reference. The next sets, so I usually, when I'm setting up a brand new book, I do 1, 2, 3, 4 pages for index, just in case it gets to that point, to give myself a little bit of a buffer. And then the next section is called a future log. And this is where you basically like block out one section of each page for each month. So this is for things like if you have a wedding coming up, or if you start of a new semester, or you have a big project due, or you're going on vacation. Like, these are kind of just things that you would put into a future month that you don't necessarily, or say something got postponed. For like, a lot of things are getting postponed right now. If something gets postponed, you can kind of like just make a note of it in a future month, so that when you're setting up that month, you go back to this to reference, just to make sure you don't forget anything important. As you can see, you don't put a ton of stuff here. It's just like a handful of things at a time. You do one of those for each month. This one's pretty empty because I got through December on this journal, and then I started a brand new one because I wanted a new journal to start the year. And then you get into setting up each month. So this was my September setup. This is the very first month, the very first month of my very first journal. And this is kind of what it looked like then, and we will get into what it looks like now. But again, like, this is my first week of journaling. This is notes that I have, and it's all kind of organized, and you can tell again that the pages are all numbered, so you can jump back and forth pretty easily. So that's my first journal. At the end of each journal, I also add a list of just things I want to add to the next journal. So if I have an idea, I'm just like, oh, I'll add that one when I start my next volume. I put that at the end of the current one, if that makes sense. If you guys have any questions about anything, please don't hesitate to chime in. Again, this is one of those things that I love talking about, and I found it really helpful. So please ask me any questions. Don't wait for me to finish. Just go ahead and interrupt if you so choose. I'm gonna go make myself another cup of coffee real quick, and then I'll be right back, and we will get started on building out my month of April, and kind of showing you guys how I go through that process. So I will be right back. Thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out. Stick around. Be right back. All right, back to it. All right, so first thing to do is basically, and again, this is a slow and boring process, and it's meant to be that way, It's meant to kind of help you spend some time and kind of visualize everything that is coming up in your... Okay, gonna have to take a break in another second here because the sun is going poo-poos. To visualize your month basically going forward. So this is kind of how I have my months laid out. And the first thing I do is label them, obviously, number the pages, and then write out every single day of the month, and then every day of the week that it corresponds with. And then on this side is like goals that I want to reach, or the goals that I'd like to accomplish in that month. And that comes from kind of a master list of yearly goals, and also like carryovers, goals that carry over from the previous month. So that's where kind of that stuff goes. And then you add things along the way, obviously, if you want to add more goals. So the first thing to do is to lay out your month. And I will sometimes put like important dates on here, like birthdays or vacations or something like that. So I gotta take one more quick break. Again, this is the life of a stay-at-home dad streamer. I'll be right back. Alright, sometimes you have to wipe a butt. You know? It's not just a dad thing either. Sometimes you need to wipe a butt in the professional sense as well. So here we go. Let's set up April. Dry. Get this out, my straight edge. And I'm gonna move the mic a little and switch over a little bit here. Again, we're first day of multi-camera setup, so please bear with me here. So going on to the next clean 2-page layout, and then number the pages. So ended on page 74. No, I actually used the number 5. 1, 25, 6. I know that I'm going to use the next layout for something as well, so I'm just going to go ahead and label those. 7, 8. I think that's all I need right now. So how I've been doing my months is kind of color coding each month, writing in big letters on the upper corner of the page, like just a brief kind of abbreviation for the month. And this is the moment where I panic that it's not actually April coming up, but it is. And I do the same thing on the other side. Too far away from. Oh no, it's not. I do my letters 3 by 2, 3 tall by 2 wide. Okay. So there is my month codes, and then we draw some lines here to make everything nice, neat. That. And since I use a little tissue because my straight edge gets ink on it, and then if I put it back on the page, it starts to smudge things. Then what I've been doing recently is just color coding the sides of the page for whatever month it is. So like April is green, so I'm just doing a little design on the sides, and that way, just so I, like, when I flip through, I can see on the top corner of the, if I look on the top corner of the page, I can kind of know where I am for a given month. I don't know if you'll be able to see it on camera when I do this, but there's January, February, March, that sort of thing. I don't know, just adds a little bit of color. I am a lefty. Indeed I am. Lefties of the world, unite! I am a lefty, and that's... So here we go, guys. We're gonna figure out how to write. Like, I'm a lefty, my wife's a lefty, my brother's a lefty. My parents are not. My mom's like ambidextrous, easy for me to say. My dad is right-handed. So I don't know how all that happened. Also, how's it going, Crixie? Happy Tuesday. Or something. Alright, so then we basically, after we labeled month, I go through and I always try to, like, I'm way, like, particular about doing this stuff, so I just want to make sure that I've got things in the same, like, every month kind of laid out the same way. So I start like 2 in, and then just kind of like write out how many days there are in the month. Camera now. Does anybody have any thoughts on how to, like, how people do those, the top-down cameras? This is literally just hanging off of my monitor, pointed down. This second camera right here. My monitor is like right here. Boop. I don't know. Do they hang it from the ceiling? Like, how do you do that? Do you have it on a tripod? I don't know. So yeah, basically, Crixie, just to kind of give you a little bit of a recap on what we're doing here. Every month, and I will show you, this is like my January month. Not super, this is a little, you're gonna have a little peek into my brain here too, okay? So just prepare yourselves, guys. I write little happy and sad faces when I'm having up days and down days, and January was not great, guys. January is not a great month. But basically, like, how you set up each month is you kind of list out every day of the month, and then on the other page you put like your goals for the month. And these goals can come either from like a master list that you have of like long-term goals, short-term goals, goals that you didn't get to the month before that you want to carry over. And then what this does is kind of gives you a touchstone to go back to when you're setting up your days or your weeks. So like, for example, this is my December, January weekly spread. So all my weekly spreads look the same, and every day I go in and put the date, the day. This is my little icons to remind me to drink water. And then I put like things I want to do that day or things I did do that day at the end. I try to do 5 minutes in the morning and 5 minutes in the evening at least, just to kind of recap the day. On the left column here, I put like tasks, and those are like work things I have to do if I have to, you know, pick up the kids on a certain day or do an errands or whatever, fix something. Goals are like goals I want to accomplish throughout the week on this side. So no goals that week, mission accomplished. But yeah, I'll get more into that as well as we kind of move forward. But that's the kind of the basics of how you set up your months. And what it's supposed to do is to kind of help you take some time, list it all out, and then realistically build a list of goals that you think you can get, that you'd like to accomplish in that month. And then when you do your daily journaling, you kind of like, oh, I don't have a whole lot going on today. Like, can I chip away at some of these goals, you know, like, and kind of do things a little bit at a time rather than being like, well, I have to remodel the house today. So yeah, this is one of those things that has worked for me. How many days in April? 30. And I've been doing it since September. And it started off as kind of a learning experience. I got a journal and I started reading a book, and I was kind of building my journal out at the same time I was following this kind of curriculum, sort of. And so it was very rigid at first. It was very much literally by the book, until about January, when I started a new journal. New year, new journal. I kind of started like perfecting my own system. If I can post a link, I can show you what I'm saying. Yeah, go for it. Pretty sure you're able to post a link. Go. Attaching it to a microphone arm. This is like, I think that might actually be the exact. Oh, actually, mine's a pile, but this looks like exactly the same mic arm that I have. The problem with that is that I have my mic is attached to my desk, and my desk is super wobbly. Like right now, if I shake, it actually is shaking. Oh, because the wire is touching the microphone stand. That's why it's wobbling. But if it wasn't such a haphazard setup right now, if I shook the desk, it's wobbling because the camera's not wobbling, the desk is wobbling. That's why it looks like it's wobbling. But basically, yeah, I would worry about wobble. I guess I could do like another, I don't know. It's not going to happen that often, and if this works out, I think it looks fine right now. Really all we have to worry about, but I could try putting it on the mic stand. That also might like hurt my focus. Camera's a piece of crap, so I can only focus like not focused. Foot away, 18 inches away maybe. Yeah, I guess that's one of those, like, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So then I write down all the days of the month, and then I kind of link. This is something that he doesn't do in the book, but I kind of added just because I like to have kind of a more visual representation of the days of the week. And I just like to check after every Saturday, Sunday that I'm still on the right days of the week, because I've like miscounted the days before where I went from like 20 to 22. Which is okay. It's also kind of fun to look. Yeah, it looks a little it is upside down. I had to flip the camera and rotate it so that you guys would be able to read it. All right, and then so on that page, we'll fit in anything from our monthly log. So again, going back to the beginning, this is the index, and this is kind of how every journal begins. I usually do two-page spreads, so the first 4 pages are for my index. And basically what that does is every month you'll see it's a color coded for, like, this is when my month of January started, this is when February started, this is when March started. We'll have April in there as well as like everything. These are all my collections underneath. That's what they're called, collections. And so Those could be anything from logging personal goals or making lists of things. Like I have a couple of them. The ones that I use, like the one I have used the most this year so far is movies watched. I'm just keeping track of all the movies I watch. And so that's the first 4 pages are for index. And after you complete a collection, let me find my movies watched collection. I can kind of show you guys what that looks like. There's games played. So games played is Apex Legends, Death Stranding, Apex Legends, and Apex Legends again. And I guess we'll be able to add MLB to that list, but I thought this was going to be a long list of different games played this year, and it turns out it's not. So for example, like here's my movies, and I'll extend it over to this page. It'll be a 2-page layout. These are all the movies that I've seen this year, and originally I started like rating them too, like giving them star ratings as I watch them. And I'll probably get back to doing that as well. But you can see here it says movies watched 2020, page 19, and so I can flip to page 19. Every page is numbered, and I can kind of keep track of that pretty easily. And so there's a bunch of different like topics here basically that are all associated with a page number in this column. And so after the index, the next thing you're supposed to do when you set up a journal called the future log. And so basically what I do is I break down each page into 3 months and put kind of like more long-term goals that I want to do for that given month, like way ahead of time. So like I wanted to get my spring wardrobe together in March. That didn't happen. So what we do in that case is do a little caret to the other direction. That means you're pushing it forward to the next month. So I'll try to put that into my April goals. And again, like I don't have a whole lot. I just have my like wardrobes. I like to go through my wardrobe like 4 times a year. Spider-Man 3 is trash, and if you don't believe it, then 2 reasons. I've seen that movie like I don't know 10 times probably, and it's terrible every single time. And this is 2 reasons I know that movie's bad, because I've seen it a lot and my kids love it. And that's usually like a good barometer of whether or not a movie's good or bad. And so we have kind of this set up for every month, and if things come up for future months, I can just kind of jot it here real quick, and then this is the first place I check when I'm doing my goals for the next month. Nice. Yeah, I'm glad. Like I feel like that's one of those things where I don't know if you have any of like those any qualifiers for people that you meet, or any acquaintances that you have, where you're like, if this, like for my wife and I, it's like we don't really trust people who don't drink coffee. Like that's one thing that we have in common, and I think we've talked about it before. It's like if you didn't drink coffee, you probably would not be together right now. It's like one of those deals. And Spider-Man 3 is probably on that litmus test for me. Like how do you feel about Spider-Man 3? Your thumbs up on Spider-Man 3 person. Like we're off to a rocky start already, I guess that's what I'm saying. All right, so now we'll bring over basically our goals into April. And so I don't have anything listed here for a future log for April. So in that case, we go back to our March list of goals and carry over things that didn't get completed or didn't make the cut. So basically I didn't color code this page. My God, I'm embarrassed. March was yellow. Okay. Whew. All right. Crisis averted. All right, so basically, yeah, we just go through and you can see here things that were canceled, things that were, if it has a dot next to it, that's basically a task or a goal. If it's got a little wedge next to it, that means that I'm pushing it forward to the next month. If it's got an X next to it, that means that it was completed. If it has a line through it, that means it was canceled. So basically, we'll go through and kind of maybe reassess some of these things as well. That's part of the reason for doing this and having this kind of reflection every month. Is I'll just start at the top and we'll go through and say like, okay, I didn't do this. Why didn't I get this completed? March was a hell of a month. So there's, like I've got a coronavirus journal here. But we're gonna start with the first thing I had on my list for March was a second quarter 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And what that is a bullet journaling method of listing out your goals. I don't think I even started one in this journal. I didn't. But I can show you the one in the previous one, or I'll show you it in the book. Let's see, it's probably under goals. Dividing into phases, meaningful. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 exercise. And I don't know if this is this is the first place that I had heard of this. 53. But I don't know if this is like a more common practice. So basically, like, this is how he kind of lists out 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So, and just it's on this page here. So we've got 5 years, 4 months, 3 weeks, 2 days, and 1 hour. 1 hour goals. It's like, is it even really worth writing down, in my opinion? But still, you can adjust the timing on these as you need. But it's basically like keeping them to like 2 or 3 items each, right? That's an important thing because you don't want to have like 15 goals that I want to get done in the next 2 days. It's just, you're probably not going to get that done, and it's going to make you feel like crap if you like don't accomplish your goals. Again, it's number one. It's number one this time. So basically, and this can kind of like help you keep track of those more like long-term goals as well. So basically, I wanted to put this together again because my goals from my first journal were a little bit too ambitious, I want to say. Let me see if I can find that page. I'm not going to share them with you, but I will at least have a quick look. And so I made a list of goals, and then I tried to put them into those 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 categories. And it's kind of supposed to help you stay more focused too. It's like, well, I have nothing to do today. It's like, well, how can you? What's one thing you can do to chip away at one of your long-term goals, perhaps? So yeah, I did have actually things on here like house remodel. Like that was like my 5-year plan. Things like that. And then I screwed it up the first time, so I had to redo all my goals. But like a lot of these things I actually accomplished. Like I had, like for example, here's my one of my three week goals from my first journal. Finish Ender's Game, paint downstairs, finish wardrobe audit, return some stuff, TwitchCon, prep, pack, and go to Creative Mornings. That was like in my 3-week plan. I got all that stuff done. And it felt good to like finish things and then kind of add new ones to the list. So I want to get that set up again, and I wanted to get that set up again in March, but I didn't get around to it. So I'm gonna go ahead and push that push that forward, and we'll still call it second quarter. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Put a bookmark here so I don't lose my spot. The second thing was weigh in at 205, which didn't happen. That was a goal. We're close. And honestly, in this time of quarantining, I don't know. Are you guys finding it easier or more difficult to stay in shape? I feel like with anxiety and boredom and all of that stuff, I've been like buying more of my junk foods, and yeah, it's been way more difficult for me too. I'm glad you said that because I'm just like, well, I guess I'll just like eat popcorn in bed while watching a movie before I go to sleep. That's good for me. Or at least with the weather changing, I'm trying to get out some more, and Went outside today for the first time in a week. Oof. Yeah, I gotta get outside. Gotta get like walks around the block. For us, we're playing a lot of Pokemon Go. That gets us all out of the house. Like I like to go out anyway and just like ride my bike around the park or do whatever. But sometimes getting the boys out, I have to like lure them away with visions of Charmander. It works. So the next thing I had was 30 out of 50 for 50 ways. And so if you guys were on the stream last day, yesterday, there's that book, 50 Ways to Find a Job. And I was trying to, March 1st seems like so long ago right now. I was trying to get through 30 out of the 50 exercises in my search to find another job. And I was not successful in that. I think I'm at, what am I at right now for that? I do have that set up here too. 50 ways checklist, 27. So here's my list of all the different exercises, and I've got 5, 10, 15, 17 done. So that's not great. So maybe I should change that that goal to, instead of being 30, because I'm fairly certain we're going to be locked. I'm going to be locked in and unable to really, this is going to be the new normal for the next few weeks at least. I'm not going to be able to really focus on that as much because I'm still like, I'm actually getting more web design work and I'm watching the kids. So doing 13 of those exercises in a month seems a little bit unrealistic. So maybe I can do like 2 a week. So if I'm at 17, I could do, let's see if I can get to like 25. So we'll reset that goal. 25 out of 50 ways, and that seems more realistic. Some of those exercises are easier than others, but you kind of have to do them in a certain order too, so I can't just like pick the easiest ones. So that seems realistic. We'll try that, and if it's still not working, then we'll readjust again next week or next month. Stream, that was successful. We'll get into that one again in a minute. Review 50 ways so far. I did not do that either. Or I kind of moderately did. So basically I wanted to review the exercises that I'd done out of the book. But I'll put that on there too, because I could do that in an hour or two. Start scheduling low quality leisure time. So this was, I guess I can, no, I can't say that I've done this one. I'm making time for low quality leisure, but I'm not scheduling it ahead of time. So basically what that means is that's something out of the Digital Minimalism book where I wanted to kind of try to like start to make time for doing those things, as much time as I needed, but to actually like only do it during set times that I scheduled for myself. And I'm still kind of doing things the same way I've done them before, where I'm just like, I'm bored, I'm playing games. As opposed to being like, I'm bored, I want to play games. Like, well, you're playing games tonight for like 3 hours because you scheduled that time. So maybe do something else for a little while and then go to play your games, at a scheduled time. And I would still like to do that. So I'm gonna push that one forward and do that one as well. And this does not count as low quality leisure, what I'm doing right now. This is productive activity. Fix or build something every week. Now this was just kind of like a goal. That did not happen. Did I fix something? Let's see. I fixed the table latches that week. I did not fix anything the second week. Third week I ordered bike parts. Fourth week we fixed the bike. So I did like 2 out of 4 weeks. How many weeks do we have in April? We've got 1, 2, including this week, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. So let's see if I can fix or build 4 things this month. That's kind of hard too, because I can't just like go out and get supplies really anymore, but we'll see what we can do. And that could be anything. I do have a list going of like things that I want to fix, things that I could fix. around the house. Build a seasonal leisure plan. I'm not gonna do that one. That is kind of like dovetails with the low quality leisure, as far as kind of like I guess planning that stuff out on a more quarterly basis. But on that one just kind of doesn't appeal to me, so I'm just gonna scrap it. Define and start a new routine. I don't even know what that's about. That one must be from Digital Minimalism. Oh yeah, no, that one actually I did do. So I had my daily routine here, and that all changed. I think I did this on, what day did I do that? It must have been the first week of March. And so basically, RIP vacations this year. No, well, yeah, I guess it would be kind of like maybe planning out like longer term projects, or like how I want to spend my leisure time in the summer as opposed to the winter, that sort of thing. Because obviously there's certain things you can do in the summer you can't do in the winter, at least in places that have seasons. RIP vacations indeed. So I actually did do this, sort of, and I'm continuing to do this. So I guess I'm in a good routine there, a routine. Because I was able to define my current routine at the time, and then the next week, like, coronavirus hit, and everybody, everything changed. Coronavirus! There it is. So we're gonna call that a success, because I was able to write out my routine currently. I was able to adjust it a little bit for like a week or two, and then everything changed, and I was able to adjust it again when everything changed, after everything changed. So we're doing good there. And I'm continuing to adjust it every week based on how things are changing in the world. Stop chewing my nails. That was a big one, especially with coronavirus hit. I'm a nail biter. It's gross. And I have been since I was in 4th grade, and I just can't kick the habit. Still trying on that. I'm gonna move that one forward. I did not succeed in that, but I will. I'm trying to get better about it. I'm trying to chew gum and yell at myself when I catch myself doing it. Playing MLB The Show doesn't help, I'll tell you that much. I find myself biting my nails a lot when I'm playing that game. Spring wardrobe I also did not do in March. March, again, guys, pretty rough. But that's okay. Alright, so those are my goals so far for the month, and they're all just carryovers? I'm gonna say carryovers from March. And we'll add new things as the month goes on, but I kind of want to just use April to kind of just get caught up on a bunch of stuff, because it's been a crazy month. These guys are using the bathroom like it's run out of style. It's crazy. So the next thing I'm going to do, because I was actually successful in streaming in March, is... Where did my March go? Oh, it's right there. One of the things I do is, yo, Mr. Clean, what is going on, my friend? How are you today, buddy? I started doing this last year, keeping a calendar of when I've streamed. I started doing it again in March, thinking that I was going to start here. Right, that's the first. I had kind of highlighted that date as my big return. We're doing well, man. Yeah, so far so good here. How about you guys? Are you all strapped in and hunkered down? We're trying to get outside. We got outside once today. We're gonna go outside again, whether these kids want to or not. So I use this to kind of, and I'll show you my previous month's versions of this stream count, and I'll color in today as well. Look at all those days streamed, guys. So, let's see if I have when I had first started doing it. This is my very first one in September stream calendar. So what I was doing was I was kind of writing out the whole the whole month, and I'm going to do this again in April, so we'll kind of walk through it, but this is just the first version of it. And I have like icons of like when it was like, was it a night stream, a day stream? The ones that are outlined with the X's through them are days that I had scheduled and then canceled on, which makes me feel real good. Let me tell you that. All right, Crixie, thanks for hanging out. Appreciate it. Have a good meeting. Yeah, I'll post the VOD a little bit later on. Trying to get through this quickly, but it doesn't happen because I just like talking about it so much. But thanks for coming by, and definitely DM me or whatever if you have any questions, and or if you're interested in starting this. I love to talk about it. So, anyways, I was also keeping track of how many hours I streamed and how many days, with like little goals. Because visually, it helps me out to kind of keep track of those things to see where I'm at. Oh, you're doing the school from home thing now? Are you guys in DPS? We are on officially we're on spring break right now. So I'm kind of letting the kids get away with murder this week. But the last couple weeks it's been daddy school, so we've been doing spelling tests and doing their online learning and stuff like that. And then next week the teachers kind of come back and have a little bit more of like an online curriculum that they're doing. So are you guys, are they being led by teachers, or are you guys kind of leading the charge there? So I'm going to set up my Twitch calendar for this month as well. And of course for that we use purple. Oh, it's led by the schools. Okay. So I'm curious, like how are they doing that? I know our schools are gonna have I think kind of a morning meeting every day, and then this goes up to here. Sorry, I'm just remembering how to draw the glitch logo here. Oop, this is a real bad one. That's not too bad. They're gonna have a morning meeting online. And then we had to go to the school last week to pick up their schoolwork and stuff like that. Oh, using Google Classroom. Okay, cool. I don't know if they're going to be doing that or not. To be honest with you, I have not read all the emails. I have not read all the emails that the teachers have sent, but it's on my thing. It's on my list of things to do this week. So this is day 2 for you guys then of doing that. Are the kids responding to it so well? Or are they responding to it well so far? I can't believe it's April already. March took forever, but this month is still, or this year is still flying by for me. Check in by noon every day for attendance, then you can work whenever to do your daily work. All homework is due by 4 p.m. Okay, that's cool. I bet you kids will really respond to that, being able to, because kids have different energy levels throughout the day, and that might not always coincide with a school schedule, right? I like that idea of giving kids the opportunity to kind of choose when, or giving families the opportunity, I guess I should say, of choosing when to do schoolwork. I bet you the quality of work will still be pretty good because of that reason. Sorry, I keep banging the mic. This is my first dual camera stream that I've ever done, so again, please be gentle with me. And I apologize for any mic knocks. Mic knocks. Let's see, we'll put this one over here. Anyway, if you guys are just joining us, we are doing our April bullet journal setup. And bullet journaling is a thing that I was kind of introduced to through Twitch, and adopted in September of last year. And it's been really helpful for me as far as organizing my life a little bit better. And so every month I go through and I set up, at the end of each month I go through and set up the next month, and that's what I'm doing today. So I'm kind of just like sharing my process with y'all. If you have any questions about what it is or what the hell I'm doing here and why, feel free to ask. So you getting caught up on games and whatnot? Are you I don't know what your work situation was normally like, Mr. Clean, but like I was work from home, and I am like way busier now than I was before this whole thing. Okay. I'm finding way less time to actually do work now. Which is hilarious because like I do like web design freelance and like business. I'm getting like way more clients calling me. I'm just like, I don't have like, because my wife is still working at the office, so I don't have kind of like I'm having problems finding the bandwidth to keep all that stuff in check. 2, 3, 4, 5 rows. All right, and then so now I'm gonna basically draw out my Twitch calendar for the month of April. Okay, you do web app and game development. Okay. Yeah, so basically I'm hustling all the time for work. We want to start in 1, 2, the third block. 1, 2. That's Sunday. And then what do we do? Every 1, 2, every third block from there. 1, 2. Monday. 1, 2. Tuesday. 1, 2. Wednesday. 1, 2. Thursday. 1, 2. Friday. 1, 2. Saturday. And then that's the corner. It's a bullet journal. So if you look closely, it's just a bunch of little dots. This camera does not focus automatically. It's kind of like graph paper, except there's no lines. It's just the dots. And so basically, it's a little bit easier to write in and to read, I guess, than on graph paper. But the concept is kind of the same. Useful for making straight lines and whatnot. So I need to go down. What did I say? 5. Let's see here. So right now I'm just kind of, again, setting up my month. Maybe I'll go down one more this month. Give it a little room to breathe there. And then I'm gonna have to move the microphone out of the way because I can't see. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And the same thing on this side. Oh man, hopefully we got this right. I never get this right the first time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. We can always add another row if we're short. We'll connect the top here. This up a little bit so you guys can see a little bit better. No, so this is basically a page. Yeah, I'll give you the kind of spiel. I'm a big proponent of this. So this is kind of a journaling method for organizing your life a little bit. Bullet journaling. And the book that I read that kind of has the methodology is this book. It's called The Bullet Journal Method by Ryder Carroll. I learned about this. Also, I'm going to shout him out again. I learned about this. I don't know if you know of the Hunter Wild. He is a streamer. he was one of the first people who I saw actually share his methodology of how he does it. This book kind of gives you the tools on how to put together your journal and like best practices and that sort of thing. And then I kind of spent a couple of months getting like perfecting my bullet journaling method. But basically, it's a way to kind of like log and index your life. And that could be anything from like, you know, projects you want to do around the house, books you want to read. I have one that's like keeping track of every movie that I've seen this year. I've got one in my previous journal that's like comic books related. But I'm also, again, using this one to kind of like organize my job search and that sort of thing. And everything's indexed on the side. So you have to put a little planning into it ahead of time. So like this index I build when I start a new journal. I have a future log in here that is set up for anything that I don't want to forget about that is like months in advance. And then on a weekly basis, I go through and kind of like keep track of like all the tasks I want to do for that week over here. And then as I fill in each day, I do this every day. So not like this whole layout, but each day I write the date, the day, my little icons for like how much water I want to drink that day. And then just kind of like write little bullet points of things I want to do that day. And it kind of really helps me keep track of like things that are most important and helps me weed out things that are not necessarily important. It's helped me kind of focus on accomplishing goals a little bit at a time, rather than feeling overwhelmed by big goals. It's been really helpful for me. I add fun stuff like games played, movies I've seen, and ratings and stuff like that, just to kind of keep things light. I've taken all of this stuff out of Google Spreadsheets and put it all into an analog format, which is fun to actually go back and read through again as well. And so what I'm doing today is basically setting up my month of April, and every month I set it up like this, where I have kind of like every day numbered and labeled, and then the list of goals I want to accomplish in that month on the other page. And what that requires of me is that I look back at the previous month and say, here are the goals that I set for myself in March that I was not able to achieve for whatever reason. Like, why was that? Do I want to cancel those? Do I want to move them forward? And that sort of thing. So part of that also for me is keeping track of my Twitch stream. And again, like, this is kind of Boris, what's going on, man? This is my March streaming calendar with like some dates that I wanted to maybe do something special on that I missed all of. But I also kind of keep like content ideas for the month like on the other side. So let me just finish this up real quick. And so yes, the long answer to your short question was that yes, I do use it for streaming. 1, 2, 3 as well. It's kind of a catch-all for my brain. And honestly, one of my favorite parts of doing this is this part of it every month, is setting up the next month. It kind of gives me a sense of, it's a nice reset every month. It gives me a good sense of my bandwidth for the month, and it forces me to kind of go back and look at the previous month and say, dang, you were lazy, or dang, you got a lot done, or dang, coronavirus just screwed up everybody's life. So I really dig it. And again, if you guys have any questions about it, feel free to DM me. If you are confused about, or you check out the VOD too of this broadcast. You can either find it on Twitch, or I post it on my YouTube channel. within like 24 hours usually. And at the beginning of the broadcast today, I went through and kind of like went through all the supplies that I have. That's another reason I like it, because you get to go out and buy a bunch of crap. Alright, now the real test. This is looking good so far, but the real test is numbering all these days and making sure I have enough squares. Got the month laid out. Now I'll go through and you can tell where my priorities are, because I do this like very detailed actual calendar for Twitch streaming, but not for anything else. What I'll do here is probably go through and put some goals into this month. Last month my goal was just like to stream at all, because it had been several months. But I think now that I'm kind of on a more set routine and I'm feeling comfortable back in front of camera again, I can actually set some personal goals for myself. And again, I'm trying to set goals for myself that aren't reliant on anybody else other than myself. That really kind of comes down to hours and days streamed. So I'll do that probably down here as well when I'm ready to set up. But I do kind of want to show you guys, and I won't go any further than that today. But I did want to kind of show you guys how I have my dude. Yo, did you get two? Yeah, man. Nice. This is kind of how I have my weekly set up. And so this is kind of my carryover, March, April. Things we need to do, list of things. Today's a busy day. Whoo boy, I still have a lot of stuff to do. I can cross off streaming though. Boop boop. There we go. A lot of stuff to do. I'll be working tonight, for sure. But this is kind of again like my weekly setup. And so the last thing I'll do today is go through and add these pages to my add them to my index. So we're starting on page 75. So I do kind of take this time as well to set up my index and make sure I didn't miss anything. So in March started on page 57. So we can go right there, take a look at March. We had March, we had our Twitch March calendar there, our 2-page setup, and then just these are regular dates. I don't index my weekly journals. I have my daily routine, which I did not list here. Daily routine. Actually, I did list it here because it was carried over from another page. This is called threading back down here, and we'll get into that. We did it, chat. Good job, guys. And then I have my coronavirus journal, which is like my weekly brain dump about coronavirus and how my life is right now. So that's it. That's all we had in March. And that's really all there was in March. It's just like streaming and coronavirus. Right? What a great month. What a fantastic month that was. So then April starts on page 75. So I will put April. And whoops, that's not a 7. That's 75. And we'll do our little color coding on it as well. That was March for you. Whew. Get wrecked, March. My little green color coding. And then I will also add my March Twitch calendar, or April. Okay, April on page 77. And that is, of course, in your purplest of purples. Twitch purple. And then I draw my little glitch logo. He looks like this. Little eyeballs. Boom. He's on page 75. Oh no, he's not. He's on page 77. Or 7's the right way this time. Boris, you're too late for the freaking. I'm left-handed and colorblind, man. Okay. Happy, everybody? I don't want to leave the stream in shame. My tail firmly betwixt my legs. Anyways, guys, there is our setup for April that we did. Let's take a look at it again. There it is. We'll be filling this out. I will be filling this out. We're not going to be doing this together again. But I do want to do this like once a month, and I will take less time explaining the whole process every month unless people have questions. But I'm going to do this at the end of every month because it's good for me also to have some sort of accountability. Nobody else really sees this on a given basis, so if I put it out there and say, like, I'm going to set up my second quarter goals, now that you all are here holding me accountable, I feel like I have to do those things. That's good. Good for everyone. And hopefully it was very relaxing for you guys. Maybe you learned something. Maybe it sparked your interest to try something like this. And again, I would love to talk about it with you guys some more if you have any questions. So at any point in a future stream, if you want to talk about it, we'll be watching. What is that copy emote? Oh my god. That's nigga. Nice. Funny. So if at any point you want to talk about it, if you have any questions, if you start it on your own and you're lost, I would be more than happy to talk to anybody about it. It's been somewhat life-changing for me over the last like 6 to 8 months. And I love doing it, and I love, you know, the mindset that it puts me in. It really kind of helps reset my brain. But for now, I am gonna go take a shower, and I'm gonna stop streaming before I do that. Go to my Patreon, and maybe we'll figure something out. But I do want to thank you guys again for hanging out today. Hopefully, you guys were able to chill out and relax a little bit, and maybe learn a little bit on the side. Again, there's the bullet journal method, the name of the book, the author, if you guys want to check that book out. Thank you guys again. I'll be back tomorrow. Maybe let's play some games tomorrow, huh? Let's do that. Take it easy and play some games tomorrow. Keep it tuned to the Discord. Again, my schedule is changing this week because the school schedule changed for my kids. So I'm trying to figure out how streaming is going to work on a daily basis, but I still plan on doing it every day. So stay tuned. I will send us over to someplace super awesome. Thank you guys again. You are super awesome. Thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out. I don't know what that was. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care. Love you.